Chapter 2. Survive. Congratulations. You are back to the moment you just transmigrated. As a goblin, you are preparing to enjoy the angel sister, but be aware that the system's gift of lives has only 2 left. If you use them all, you will die completely. Hee ha! Being able to mate with a human, it's worth dying for. Hurry up, hurry up. These 2 breeding tools can still be used for a long time. A group of goblins shouted excitedly, still lined up in a long queue as before. Lin Tian revived again, but the intense heartache from the torment remained. It truly felt branded into his soul. His facial expression gradually twisted, looking more and more like a goblin. Remembering what happened before, he started running backward desperately. He had to escape. He had to run as far as possible while he could. No matter how tempting the angel sisters on the ground was, he didn't look at them. As long as there were mountains left, he wouldn't worry about not having cute angel girls in the future. Sure enough, after running only a few dozen meters, he heard the sounds of a fierce battle from where he had been. As before, it was a one-sided slaughter. I must escape. Escape. I want revenge. Lin Tian's expression was filled with hatred as he used all his strength to flee. Swish! Suddenly, a blinding cold light flashed in front of him. The stubbly man had already caught up. There was also the white-robed nun, looking at him like he was garbage, as always. Coldly, she said, "This disgusting little cockroach almost escaped, Captain. How should we deal with it?" Something seemed to explode in Lin Tian's mind. They caught up with him even like this. Turning his head, he realized he had only run about 100 meters. The goblin's legs were too short, and its overall strength was too poor. For these human experts, they could catch up in 6 or 7 seconds. Damn it, should I fight? Lin Tian gritted his teeth and unexpectedly found that looking at the stubbly man, a symbol appeared above his head. It must be the system's ability. Loader, LV25, race, human, ads by Pub Future, profession, swordsman, title, leader of the Blades of Valor, disciple of the Sword Saintess, health, 200, strength, 30, defense, 50, skills, sword chi / sword dance, holy skill, sword return to heaven, equipment, iron armor, iron sword, level 1 recovery potion. Overall, 400. Looking at these attributes, Lin Tian was stunned. There was no chance of victory, with an overall combat power of 400, and he himself was less than 50. Small goblin, LV5. Race goblin. Profession, none. Title, low-level monster, God's blessing. Health, 20. Strength, 5. Defense, 5. Skills, Gene Devour. Equipment, none. Overall, 30. Looking at his weak attributes, Lin Tian wasn't too surprised. After all, goblins were always the easy-to-kill small monsters in games and anime. But coincidentally, he was a creature blessed by a god, gained some unique abilities, such as body fluids that could make all females lose the ability to resist and fall in love with goblins. At this moment, the stubbly man loader said evilly, "We can't let it off easily. We must make it wish for death, to avenge our new members. They were too careless, acting alone in this enchanted forest, not only getting severely injured by a demonized steel-toothed boar, but also getting by these disgusting cockroaches." The white-robed nun spoke, her face becoming slightly evil as well. Lin Tian had already seen through their nature, struggling with all his might to escape, but it was futile. You died again. Hung on a tree and cut into pieces, wild dogs followed the scent of blood and ate you completely. You overestimated your strength. Goblins are indeed the lowest creatures on this continent. You also underestimated human strength, especially since the other side is a disciple of the Sword Saintess. Transmigrator, you have only 2 lives left. Keep going. Swish. With a buzzing in his head, Lin Tian returned to the moment of queuing again. This time, He came back with even deeper pain. Lin Tian gritted his teeth and quickly calmed down because time was short. There was at most 1 minute to react. If he couldn't think of a way to escape, what awaited him was still death, and a more painful death. Running is definitely out. Reasoning won't work either. Who would believe a goblin? Lin Tian thought quickly. Although he had 1 life left, he wouldn't allow such a ridiculous thing to happen, dying 3 times in a row. What kind of protagonist would that make him? Who would be willing to play the protagonist's role of counterattacking in a desperate situation? Whoever wants to play, go ahead, but I need to save my own life. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration hit him. He shouted, "Everyone prepare for battle. Prepare for battle. Humans are about to attack." Then he stepped forward and pulled the goblins off the angel's body. Because the ones who enjoyed it first were always the strongest goblins in the group. They were caught off guard and instantly killed at the start, so the first 2 times, the entire army was wiped out in less than a minute. As long as he could hold out for a little longer, even if it was just 3 minutes, he could escape. Upon hearing the word humans, the goblins' expressions instantly became alert. These creatures were not particularly stupid, just purely evil, with nothing but malicious thoughts in their heads. Immediately, those with wooden sticks grabbed their sticks, those without picked up stones to throw, and some hid to launch surprise attacks. Seeing this, Lin Tian quickly started to run away, not caring about anything else. The other goblins were still a bit confused. Didn't he say there were humans? Why was he running away? Before long, the bearded men arrived as expected, disregarding why Lin Tian was running away, and directly started the battle. This time, because they were prepared, dodging and pulling away, the goblins survived for much longer. Some of those ambushing even managed to scratch and bite the white-robed nun. But in the end, these goblins only lasted 5 minutes. But for Lin Tian, that was enough. They didn't chase me. Finally, I survived. Lin Tian ran frantically, looking back from time to time until he ran until dawn. Finally, he had survived the dark night. In the distance, there were flickering campfires and scattered tree leaf shelters. It seemed to be a small goblin settlement. There were probably over 100 goblins. In this forest overrun by demonic creatures, he certainly couldn't survive alone. He could only seek warmth in numbers. Lin Tian immediately walked over, but to his surprise, he was not welcome but tied up. "Boss, we caught a goblin from another tribe. We have breakfast." A small leader holding a stone spear stepped on Lin Tian's head and said, "In the goblin world, there was no such thing as compatriots. Only members of the same tribe could coexist harmoniously. Because goblins reproduce very quickly, with no reproductive isolation, the pregnancy period for any creature was at most a month. The offspring took only 15 days to fully develop their reproductive systems. By this calculation, if willing to reproduce, a single goblin could develop a tribe of over 100 goblins in just 3 months. This was why they were called cockroaches. They reproduced too fast to be completely killed. From a gray-black shack, a trembling old goblin walked out. A few strands of messy white hair topped its head. Its skin had turned from green to gray-black, covered with warts and blotches. It wore several bone-made ornaments around its neck and leaned on a staff made from a human skull. It seemed he had killed humans and perhaps even mated with them. Lin Tian's pupils shrank. It was a goblin priest. Big Goblin, LV 25. Race Goblin. Profession, priest. Title, breeding machine, old and cunning, God's blessing. Health, 102. Strength, 29. Defense, 17. Skills, Gene Devour, Call, Thorn Control. Equipment, Skull Staff, Bone Necklace. Overall, 200. This was no longer a small goblin, but a big goblin variant. Big goblins were a general term, including goblin warriors, goblin assassins, goblin priests, evil goblins, swift goblins, etc. Their base level cap was 30. There were also hero variants, mutant variants, leader variants, overlord variants, king variants, and so on.